It's Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026. You're listening to the DX Today AI Daily Brief. Today, Google ships 3 new Gemini models and begins its most ambitious pre-training run yet for Gemini 4. Washington and Beijing prepare their first formal talks on artificial intelligence. And BlackRock and MGX pour another $5 billion into AI data centers. Let's get into it.
Google released 3 new Gemini models on Tuesday, deepening its push into the workhorse tier of the AI market. Gemini 3.6 Flash arrives priced at $1.50 per million input tokens and $7.50 for output, delivering results with roughly 17% fewer output tokens. A lower-cost Gemini 3.5 flashlight comes in at 30 cents and $2.50. The third release, Gemini 3.5 Flash Cyber, is a security-tuned variant restricted to governments and trusted partners. Notably absent was Gemini 3.5 Pro, the flagship that remains in partner testing and is not yet generally available. Google also said it has begun what it calls its most ambitious pre-training run yet for Gemini 4, and that early progress is promising.
From models to diplomacy.
The United States and China are preparing to hold formal talks on artificial intelligence in September, according to Reuters. The discussions would open a new diplomatic channel focused on the security and economic risks surrounding frontier AI models, and they are expected to take place before Chinese President Xi Jinping's planned September 24th visit to the United States. The agenda is expected to cover military uses of AI, cyber attacks against critical infrastructure, access to advanced models, and the release of increasingly capable open-weight systems. It would be the first official AI dialogue between the two governments under the current administration. Observers say a broad agreement is unlikely, but shared definitions around frontier models and proliferation risks could become an important first step.
Beijing weighs its own controls.
China is considering tighter restrictions on exports of advanced AI models, semiconductor technologies, and critical training data, according to a Financial Times report published Tuesday. Chinese regulators have reportedly consulted major domestic technology companies, including Alibaba, ByteDance, and Zhipu AI, about possible rules governing foreign access to powerful models and the data used to develop them. The proposed controls could be added to China's catalog of restricted export technologies, and officials are examining whether overseas acquisitions or joint ventures could let foreign companies gain control of strategic Chinese intellectual property. The discussions remain preliminary, but the move would mark a striking reversal. After years of Washington restricting China's access to advanced chips, Beijing is now signaling it may use similar tools in the other direction.
Next, a transatlantic alliance grows.
Microsoft and Mistral AI announced a major expansion of their strategic partnership on Tuesday, aimed at helping enterprises and regulated industries adopt frontier AI with more choice and control. The deal brings Mistral's models across the Microsoft platform, including Microsoft Foundry, Copilot Studio, and Azure, with Mistral Medium 3.5 and OCR 4 among the first additions. The agreement also includes a multi-billion-dollar arrangement to expand AI infrastructure in Europe, with Microsoft leveraging Mistral's Europe-based GPU capacity for its own services. For Mistral, the French champion of European AI, the deal dramatically widens distribution. For Microsoft, it strengthens a sovereignty story that matters to European customers wary of depending entirely on American infrastructure.
Now silicon at full speed.
Nvidia said Tuesday that production of its next-generation Vera Rubin platform is ramping up, with racks already running at partners CoreWeave, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and Oracle Cloud infrastructure. The Vera Rubin NVL 72 system pairs custom CPUs with new generation GPUs, and Nvidia describes the deployments as the foundation of AI factories that bring together hundreds of thousands of processors to train frontier models and power agentic AI. The company also anticipates strong momentum heading into its next earnings report, with analysts watching guidance of roughly $91 billion in quarterly revenue. The takeaway is that Nvidia's annual product cadence is holding, and the industry's appetite for each new generation shows no sign of cooling.
That silicon needs factories.
Taiwanese manufacturer Wistron officially opened its first United States production facility on Tuesday, a 324,000 square foot plant in Fort Worth, Texas. The greenfield site will produce Nvidia's GB300 Grace Blackwell Ultra superchip, placing one of the most advanced pieces of AI hardware into American production for the first time. The opening is part of a broader reshoring wave as Washington pushes to bring critical semiconductor and AI systems manufacturing onto domestic soil. For Nvidia, domestic assembly of flagship superchips adds supply chain resilience at a moment of intense geopolitical friction over advanced technology. For Texas, it deepens a growing cluster of AI-related manufacturing and data center investment across the state.
Chip prices may climb next.
Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company is preparing to raise chip-making prices by as much as 10% beginning in 2027, according to a report from Nikkei Asia. The increases would reportedly affect both advanced and mature manufacturing processes, helping the world's largest contract chipmaker absorb higher material costs, more expensive equipment, and the expense of building plants outside Taiwan. TSMC produces chips for Nvidia, Apple, AMD, Qualcomm, and many smaller companies, so even modest price changes ripple through the entire technology supply chain, eventually touching AI accelerators, smartphones, and servers. Customers may have little choice but to accept the higher prices, because few alternatives can match TSMC's manufacturing scale, yields, and ability to produce the most advanced processors in volume.
Money keeps flooding the build-out.
A consortium backed by BlackRock and Abu Dhabi investment firm MGX has committed an additional $5 billion in growth capital to aligned data centers after completing an acquisition that valued the company at roughly $40 billion. Aligned operates or is developing 51 data center campuses with more than 6.4 gigawatts of current and planned capacity, serving hyperscalers and companies deploying large AI computing clusters. The consortium has discussed deploying as much as $30 billion in equity, with total capacity potentially reaching $100 billion once debt financing is included. The scale of the commitment shows that global capital increasingly treats AI data centers as foundational infrastructure, an asset class comparable to energy, transportation, and telecommunications.
The supply chain goes public.
Zhongji Innolight, a Chinese manufacturer of optical transceivers used in AI data centers, is preparing a Hong Kong listing that Reuters reported Tuesday could raise around $8 billion, with the company's subsequent filing pointing to as much as $7 billion. At that size, the offering would rank among Asia's largest technology listings in years. Optical transceivers move data between servers and computing clusters, and their importance has soared as AI training systems grow to tens of thousands of interconnected chips. Zhongji's first quarter revenue reportedly jumped 192% year over year, with the United States accounting for more than 60% of sales, highlighting the commercial ties that persist between Chinese suppliers and American AI infrastructure despite widening restrictions.
In Washington, spending hits records.
The leading AI labs are spending more than ever to influence Washington. Federal lobbying disclosures released Tuesday show Anthropic spent $1.97 million on lobbying in the second quarter, up 26% from the prior quarter and more than double a year ago, while OpenAI spent $1.2 million, up roughly 18%. Combined, the two labs spent $3.17 million for the quarter, up 23% from the first quarter, according to CNBC. Anthropic's outlay now exceeds Nvidia's and nearly matches Oracle's. The surge comes as Congress and the White House weigh frontier model oversight, export rules, and energy policy, and as legacy technology and defense lobbying budgets slip in comparison.
Writers get a detection tool.
Substack announced a partnership with AI detection company Pangram on Tuesday, giving readers a way to scan text on the platform for an estimate of how much was machine written. The tool works on passages longer than 100 words and returns a probability score rather than a definitive verdict. The move lands in the middle of a growing tension in online publishing, as newsletters and essays increasingly blend human and machine authorship, and readers demand to know which is which. Substack has positioned itself as a home for independent human voices, and the company is betting that transparency, rather than prohibition, is the sustainable answer. Detection tools remain imperfect, but the partnership makes disclosure a visible feature of the platform.
And finally, a quantum roadmap.
Quantinuum and SoftBank published a joint white paper on Tuesday titled Quantum Computing Frontiers, mapping commercially relevant quantum computing use cases against Quantinuum's hardware roadmap. The paper examines application areas the companies believe will matter as the industry approaches the fault-tolerant era, when error-corrected machines can run computations beyond the reach of classical supercomputers. The two companies will use the roadmap to guide their exploration of future quantum services and related business models. For SoftBank, the work extends a strategy of positioning early in foundational computing platforms. For Quantinuum, backing from one of the world's largest technology investors adds weight to its claim that useful quantum computing is approaching faster than skeptics expect.
That's your briefing for Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026. For DX Today, stay curious.